In this video, I'm gonna bust 5 of Update 41's biggest myths. Now hold on, Brazio, an update video 2.5 weeks after the actual update, and you only managed to come up with 5 things? Pathetic. Now look, okay, I can only make so much stuff on one update. It'll be fine, let's get into it. One of the most prominent changes made to the Dart Monkey this update was the fact that the 300 Spiker Bolt got a 1+ damage buff. Now you may be thinking, wow, this is a myth? How is it a myth? That's basically nothing. But what I am saying here is that this is the cheapest tier 3 in the game. This could be a feasible strategy. Give them some buffs, give them a village, and we're testing a Moab here on screen. As you can see, slapped. Half of them didn't even attack, and they can take out a Moab with only like $23,000 spent, most of that being on a primary expertise, which makes sense. But here we're going to test it up against a BFB, which is a lot stronger. I think you can get the point. Spiker Bolt is getting pretty good now. Spiker Bolt is the cheapest tier 3, as we all know, and it's super spammable, as we all know. But what if you pair it against 7 BFBs? Okay, so they do less great. Yes, I sat there for a whole 10 seconds just waiting for something to happen, anything to happen. And now we're going to move on to test number 2, which is Spiker Bolt with primary expertise versus Spiker Bolt with no Spiker Bolt with primary expertise. I nailed that. We're testing it up against ZOMG to see if the primary expertise actually does the majority of the damage, or if the Spiker Bolts do the majority of the damage. As you can see, we just kill it easy peasy either way, with the primary expertise cleaning up. But what if we don't have the Spiker Bolts? What happens then? And what if we send out a bunch of ZOMGs, which is what we're doing right here? Now, obviously the primary expertise it has a lot of pierce, just not enough to clean up all these ceramics. As you can see, the ballista attack gets pierce capped on yellows, which is not a good thing to get pierce capped on. Legend of the Night. Anyway, as you can see, a bunch of ZOMGs, we can still take them out, which is pretty good. But what if we don't have any Spiker Bolts? It's just as primary expertise. Now you'd think it'd be worse, but it's not. Because during testing, I was actually kind of surprised. The primary expertise kills grouped ZOMGs better than Spiker Bolts can. It's weird because because Spiker Bolts do 2 damage. Primary expertise does 200. Now, granted, this is on round 1, but we're just ignoring scaling right now. And as you can see, we easy peasy clean them up with less clutter, less balloons, less pierce capping. It's so much better. And because it's so much better, I can safely say this myth is busted. But a myth that might not be a bust is the change to Apocalypse mode and the change to the meta of Apocalypse mode. We all know that Apocalypse mode does not give end of round cash. It does now. Walking in, Update 41 completely changed the game, or this game mode, at least. Wow, this joke was bad. So, Apocalypse now gives end of round cash, $100, or an extra $1 per scaling up per round. That's how the end of round cash works. And as you can see, I'm doing Apocalypse mode on Infernal, which is my favorite expert map. Something just to talk about. I had not done Apocalypse on Infernal before. I know, shocking. Gasp! He hasn't blackboarded Infernal, you're garbage! Yes, I know, I am rubbish. But this is actually the last game mode I needed to do to blackboard Infernal. I planned it out, okay? I had done every single other thing 3 updates ago. When they changed Apocalypse, I was going to be ready. I was going to record this, make a YouTube video, and it was going to get millions of views. I'm just kidding. This is going to get 20 views at most. I'm not painting myself in a good picture. So here on screen we can see that we have a sniper and 2 alchemists by round 40. Well, I had it by round 40, and now I have another sniper by round 50. And because I got the extra round cash, it was just so much funner and so much easier. Will the Apocalypse meta change? Absolutely. Now we're actually going into something that might resemble an actual myth, which is Bloonjitsu better than the Sun Temple? Hear me out. Of course this is for late game, so obviously for boss events Sun Temple is way better, we all know that, everyone knows that. But for late game, Sun Temple might not be as good as Bloonjitsu. And the reason for this is because if you give Bloonjitsu all the buffs and give it 20 stack Shinobi, then it'll do pretty well. But if you give Sun Temple all the buffs and give it all Shinobi, then it won't do as well, because Shinobi doesn't affect it. I am not lying when I said give it all Shinobi. I tested it. It is basically the exact same thing as what you're watching on screen. So here, I'm super buffing, or god buffing, as one would call it, a Sun Temple to pit it against around 200 fortified bad to see which kills it faster. Now some of you may be saying, oh, actually Brazil, you don't have a Dora, show the Sun Temple would actually beat the Bloonjitsu in this scenario. Shut up, I'm talking about late game, and Adora late game is without a doubt not as good as Azili's Moab Hex. The reason I say that is because Azili's Moab Hex is ridiculously powerful. One shot's fortified bads. There are only 2 things in the game that can do that, Azili and the Navark of the Seas, which is a Paragon. For somebody's sake, I don't want to... I'll just hit the desk there. For somebody's sake, I don't want to say who. It could be anybody's sake. But as you can see on the screen, we kill the bad pretty fast. But can Bloonjitsu do better? Let's find out. And now we're back after that cutscene. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back from the lunch break to view the players in this game. As we can see, we have the bat here entering the screen, and it is instantly met with an extremely strong force of ninjas. It's already breaking. We can see it. The true Sun God is helping as well. There are so many projectiles on screen that the lag is crashing the game. But wait, look at this. The bat is crumbling. Will the ninjas be able to take out the bat before the Sun Temple? Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen. What a showdown this was between 2 absolute titans of towers in Bloons Tower Defense 6. Is this myth busted? Absolutely not. Bloonjitsus are better than Sun Temples, space-wise and efficiently. Now we're going to get to something that is obviously the most talked about part of this update. The Apex Plasma Master has a new best map, and it is Sulfur Springs. Why is it Sulfur Springs? Because this entire space, the entire thing in lava, is below the actual surface, so the projectiles bounce around a lot more, giving the Apex Plasma Master way more DPS. As you can see, we have a degree 60 here. I'm going to send out around 200 bad, only one of them, and we're going to see how much DPS it does compared to other maps that it's known for being good with. So we start out pretty strong with 100k DPS, well not 100k DPS, 200k damage, and now the bad is going to circle around, and get this isn't even the best spot for the Apex Plasma Master to be. The best spot is actually in this ledge right here, where I'm going to zoom into. So as we can see, the pop count of the Apex Plasma Master, we're doing it twice just to be safe, because I stupidly forgot to not look at it, because stupid brain. We're going to do this again to see if we can get another test. Now obviously I want to see what it is and mean the averages. That was my idea of recording at the time, but look at this, $372,000 pops. You can go back and see it again. I'm pretty sure this was the worst test out of all of them, because it got the least amount of pops. It varies, but only by a degree of like 10,000 or so. It's basically nothing at levels that high. And as you can see here, 367,000 pops on a round 200 fortified bad. Why am I doing a fourth time? Going over to balance, which is commonly known as the Apex Plasma Masters used to be best map, because the balance circle is very good. It just bounces everywhere and there's so many projectiles. We have another degree 60 here, and once again we're going to send out around 200 fortified bad. Now here, as we can see, I restart it for some reason, because I remember why, because it didn't go along the most optimal track. The most optimal track is actually this one that it takes right here, the one that goes around the edge, because the balls hit the wall and then expand out, but all the balls are hitting on the wall and then all hitting the bad, which is pretty helpful. So the bad loops around 3 times, it goes out, it leaves the circle, and look at this, 192,000. That is nothing. That's what I can see from it, from the test. It might be 183. 192k compared to 360 is nothing. That is a 2x increase in damage, which is ridiculous. And here we're gonna go again, and from what I can see, 187. 187 when before it was a 360? Absolutely not. Sulfur Springs is the best map, and for your sakes, I am going to test it on other maps as well, including, but not limited to, Hedge with 207,000 pops, Polyphemus with only like 65k, I don't know, it sucked, and Cornfield. Now, I was dumb and decided, hey, I should do degree 1 instead of degree 60. I then, after this test, realized, hey, I should do degree 60 instead of degree 1. But after thinking, I was like, no, I'm not going to bother doing a degree 60. So I just went over to Sulfur Springs and did the Apex Plasma Master degree 1 there in the best spot, and it got almost 2.5 times more than Cornfield. Cornfield is an incredibly good map for the Apex Plasma Master, okay? And Sulfur Springs just beat it. Okay, it just beat it. Sulfur Springs is confirmed the new best map for the Apex Plasma Master. This is the last myth of the day, and it is by far the one that nobody has talked about. This is the least talked about thing in the balloons community right now. Of course, it's around the sub Paragon. As you can see, I'm attempting to get a degree 100 sub Paragon here, but you may be wondering, Brazio, why are you getting a degree 100 sub Paragon in sandbox mode? Well, my dear viewer, it is to test voice crack. It is to test the sub Paragon's submerge and its buff. Now, IceHab already did a video, sorry, no, it wasn't IceHab, it was Mac and Rules. My apologies. Mac and Rules already did a video discussing the buff with heroes, and he explained that it was actually a nerf, because while it gave them damage, it decreased their attack speed. This doesn't happen with subs, it just gives them a +6 damage bonus. Here is my proposition. The sub commander, even if it is degree 100, is more worth it submerged than if it is not. It sounds crazy, okay? It sounds completely insane. But if you have a sub commander and around, let's say, 20 to 25 subs, not even 20, like 18, 204 subs with global range, if you give them Permabrew, give them, what's it called, True Sun God, give them Homeland, and give them sorry, I'm just forgetting what it's called, I'm very forgetful today, the Carrier Flagship, they're better, okay? So this is the test. We obviously have the degree 100 submerged with Sub Commander, because Sub Commander is way more worth than Paragon of Power. We even have a Navok helping in the top corner, just to make sure that the Sub Paragon does as much damage as possible. And as you can see, the Fortified Bad pops in between the two villages. Well, the fortified bad's tail pops in between the two villages. Remember that, okay? Remember that. And that was with the help of the Navok of the Seas. Now we're downgrading to a carrier flagship. I want you to watch this bit very closely. The bad, the fortified bad, same round, same health, that two Paragons fought, just got out DPS'd by 204 subs. You may be saying, Brazio, how is that faster? Well, if you saw there, you would have known that with the Paragons, the tail of the bad popped in between the two villages, but without the Paragons, the head of the bad popped in between two villages. That is insane. I don't even know how to say this. This is groundbreaking. How has nobody discovered this yet? Now, obviously, the subs aren't even at full capacity. They're not actively overclocked. They don't even have Brickle. Imagine what would happen if you have those subs with Brickle, okay? Because she gives a plus 100% attack speed to all submarines and water towers. That would be insane. That's insane. Sub Paragons are worse than 204 subs. This is by far the most ridiculous myth, and by far the one that is most surprising to say that it is confirmed. The sub Paragon is not worth it. Of course, this is only in late game terms. Don't worry, boss events players, you can have your Paragon because it still out DPS's the normal subs with its extra boss damage. Now, in saying that, since it's only in late game, that means it is only useful on certain maps, and there's a list of them on screen right now. But what does this mean for BTD6? Practically nothing. This is some random myth, some random thing that some random idiot on YouTube came up with for some random people to click on his video and think, hey, that's kind of surprising. That's all I have for you today. And I'll see you next week for another video.